Deepthi also. Thank you so much. So, good afternoon, good evening. It's an honor for me to introduce, I can say, my friend, Deepthi. But before that, I'll just briefly introduce ICE. I know several of you have been here from morning. A couple of new people who have come in. Very, very brief introduction. ICE Trust was run by my dad for 20 years, and me and Uma have picked it up, and we're trying to bring it, and we're trying to carry the legacy forward with a focus on new creation, a new vibration, a new way of living across different aspects of life and society, for which we have 5 projects. One of it is She Evolves. The other are youth above 60, education, nature, healing, etc. We're trying to cover all grounds and try to be catalyst for the birthing of new creation in India, across the world. She Evolves is a very pet theme, which has been there for many years now. And this is, in a way, our first large and important program that we have done. Basically, the theme She Evolves is, can we capture the practices and the essence and the stories of very simple women who do something which is true to themselves and yet are doing something meaningful and successful in the world. And I've been... I know Deepthi for a while right now, from the time she met me first in IIT Madras. We sat on a bench and we just had a chat along with her husband. And I've known her now for long, and quite a very interesting person. I don't know if many of that would come through, because there are layers of subtlety. And once in a while I have a conversation with her, and every time I see that, there's a lot of natural gifts inside. And it's very interesting that she's also able to hold it in the corporate world. And I think the one thing that really fascinates her is change. And I think she's practically experimenting with herself and all around her to discover the process. So over to you, Deepthi, we're all ears.
Thank you so much, Arul. It's a pleasure for me to be here. I'm so honored. Thanks to the whole team, in fact, to Priya, to you, Arul, Uma, Vaibhav, and everybody who's been doing a great job behind. It's such a wonderful thing to see so many women share their stories. And like you mentioned, simple yet extraordinary stories, which is exactly the message that I would also try to convey through this. Because everyone is unique. Each one of us has a great role to play in this universe, is my belief. With that said, I'm going to take you all through my story today. It's called Finding Nemo. I'm sure all of you would have played video game. And my life, more or less, I would compare to a video game because it comes in the same format. You have different level of challenges in a particular level. You go through that, you take it heads on, you find a knick-knack to go through that level, and then you get promoted to the next level where you have a different set of challenges, and then you have an ultimate prize. So that's the format of my life as well. And I'm sure going to reveal what Nemo is at the end of the story. Born in a huge family. I'm saying huge because I have 19 cousins. In all shapes, sizes, and patterns. So, referencing is very easy for me because I have each one from one field where I can refer to. So maybe because of this, that since childhood, I've always wanted to be unique and different. So this is something that has always stuck to me, that I want to be very different and unique. Not just that, I've also, from a very young age, I always wanted to pursue excellence. So this has come to me from my mom, where she always said, Sevana Tirunda Chai. Do whatever you do in a very good way. So even if I mop the house, I'd ensure I do a perfect job. And I wouldn't want someone to come and comment on, oh, you didn't do this area well. So someone seeing or not, I would do it well. So that is something which stuck on to me. But in my initial stages, it's been very untransformed, like a raw horsepower, if I should put it that way. A lot of challenges have come my way, be it anybody who said something was difficult to do, I take it heads on. Like one of my friends told me that Japanese is a very difficult language. Next month I enrolled and I got 94% of it. And I said, see, I've done it. And someone told me that CA is very difficult. And I chose CA with a very difficult boss. And just 2 months of preparation, I cracked it in the first attempt. And I've been a very goal-oriented person from childhood. Okay, have a goal, tuck, 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 go achieve it. So CA has been a childhood dream for me to pursue and to do it really well. So after I finished my CA, it became like a vacuum for me all of a sudden. Yeah, I've achieved my goal. What next is something that I always thought about. So what is next? What's the purpose of my life? So that's when I hit a plateau. A huge vacuum got created. To add on to that, my husband moved away, who's my pillar of support. He just moved to IIT to pursue his further studies, and I took up a job where it involved a lot of traveling. I had a 1-year-old daughter. I had to leave her back and travel. So I started really questioning myself as to what's the purpose? Why am I running? What am I running after? And that's when exactly I met Aru. I had a very bad phase. Like I went through a deep depression. I thought, okay, the world that's it. I mean, I have nothing interesting in life. But I didn't know that was when a seed was sown. I thought it was the end, but that was just the beginning into my self-awareness journey. Self-awareness or self-discovery, in my opinion, is like fire. It will be there, irrespective of you know it or not. But when you know and you're doing something with awareness, it becomes more constructive. You can put it to better use. So that's what had happened to me. I started getting deeper into myself, and I understood very clearly that there are different parts of your being. And my dominant part of the being is and will always be dynamic energy. That's my comfort zone. But as I started learning more and getting these tools handy, I started to realize that there are other parts of being which, when untransformed, can interfere into the way you interact with the world. For example, it's a very typical scenario for all of us. We're having a very tired day, and your child comes up to you and asks you for something. Natural tendency is to say, okay, you go do that. Or you would, in certain cases, you would also get angry and yell. That is because of the physically untransformed part of you, which is interfering, or even the emotional care part of you, which is coming in the way of your being, which is something that started becoming more clear. And I got an obvious clue that I had to go through a physical transformation. The clue was just there, and I, tried to ignore it because that's the most convenient thing for all of us to do, right? When we have a signal, we try to ignore because we don't want to invest our time or energy in doing anything like that. So very conveniently ignored it and went through a lot of other tools. Like I did Heal Your Life, which is when I realized that anything that happens to us has a physical relation, say unexpressed emotions or certain thought patterns that we have a physical attribution to us. It settles in our body in specific ways. All these kept coming, and I started learning newer things, newer aspects of life, which I really love. I like variety. So as things kept coming, challenges kept coming, I started moving to the next level. I found the knack, and I thought, okay, this is how it should happen, and go next, go next, go next. And I reached a certain point where there was no going back, or there was no going front either, because I did have to have a physical transformation. Without that, nothing was going to move ahead. With a lot of difficulty, because I wanted it to be a more sustainable thing rather than doing it just for the sake of it or a fad diet. Got into this program where it was not just a physical transformation, but an inner transformation as well. Went from size XL to size S. not just that, but internally also a lot of things have changed. If we look at food, the kind of energy that I get and I relate to food, that has changed. And even the smallest of things that we do, I do a practice called water charging, wherein every day morning I wake up and say a few certain things to a glass of water, meditate, and then drink that water. So certain things have changed quite a lot. And I fasted for a week, where I would run away from fasting, or I would do like a cheat fasting, eat only fruits the whole day. Like there's a comedy in Tamil, they say full palaparam, like that kind of fasting. But I refrain from actually getting into the concept of what it means, how you draw energy. So all of this came when I started getting into the physical transformation. It turned my whole perspective the other side. I started receiving a lot of energies. I started becoming more subtle and sensitive to things, to people around. And that's when it started becoming more concrete to me. The purpose of my life is not goal oriented. The purpose of my life is my journey, and every moment is what I need to be. I need to be the perfect medium for the divine manifestation, is what I was very clearly given to me as a message. That's what I totally believe and I resonate with as I speak. So this came to me very clearly with my physical transformation. And now I know that the vacuum or the darkness period that I had was just, allowing me to blossom or grow as a plant. And today I know that, I will grow into a tree, and I want to give back a lot more to the society and to the universe by being a perfect medium for the divine manifestation, and have a lot more fruits and seeds, grown, where we have a very wonderful society where we can coexist, co-create. Everyone has a just right to the way we use money, to divine love, and a lot more things, a more happier place. And in my opinion, life is a journey for everyone. Its start and end is the same for all of us. We're just at different points of place. That's it. Everyone will get a chance to be famous one day. Everyone will get a chance to pursue what they want to. It's just that we need to be ready at that moment. If you listen to the inner calling or the inner voice, and do certain things which require you to be ready for that opportunity, it will keep coming. uh, it's very divine, as in I'm getting goosebumps as I say this, because divine or God for me is the best mother. Like how I would do the best things for my children, irrespective of if they want it or not, because I know ultimately what is good for them. At least I think what I know is good for them. Similarly, nature or divine knows what's best for you and when you need to have it. And will go to such an extent to push you, and which is called ruthless compassion, which I also hold as my core qualities. Uh, Talking about core qualities, that was a bigger discovery for me. And thanks to Arul, who took me through the whole exercise of finding what your core qualities are. Each person that way has a certain fabric that we come with. Finding these core qualities actually helps us to be a better being, not just at home, but more so at work. Because, like 2 sessions back, I was listening to Mary Martina. So it was so wonderful to hear her story and how she came up with I Love Mondays, which is exactly what we need to do. We need to find the right thing to do, the right place we belong to. And that's more possible for us when we get into the core qualities within us. What are we made of? What do we resonate with? The more we are in touch with this, the more authentic we are as a being to the outer society. And thereby you can be a better being and have a greater impact to the society. With this, I'd like to complete my story. So there have been so many challenges and so many levels in the video game of my Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is nothing, just that Nemo means new edition of myself over time. So I keep really discovering myself, challenging myself all the more. And it's fun. It's not like I go through some, a very bad phase or something. I enjoy every bit of change, like how the butterfly has to go through certain things because that's the best thing for it to go. And it's really a wonderful journey. And deep faith being my other core quality, has helped me go through this change, because I can tread through uncertainties and ambiguities quite well, because I know for sure that the divine is there. The divine is within me and is going to take me to the right journey ahead, whatever is good for me. So with that, it's been quite a wonderful experience for me all throughout. And I'm sure, with this kind of discovery, each one of us will find our happy spot and our happy place where we can contribute in the best way. Being an individual, you can contribute to the larger good of the society. So, the end. Thank you.
Thank you. So, which gives us a lot of room for discussions and dialogues, and yeah. So, with that introduction, and it's only an introduction that Deepthi had shared. So, any questions from anybody or anything that you want to? Yeah, Ati, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, Deepthi. You had shared about money and finances and financial freedom. It was a very refreshing perspective. Could you please talk about that?
Okay. So money, actually, if you see, it's dynamic energy, which means it gives you power, a sense of power, and a sense of confidence. That's the quality that money holds. And in today's world, when we see, money is very misconceptualized. We think if we have more money, we're going to be more powerful. Actually, it's not the right way or right perspective. Actually, the more we allow it to flow, it's more or less like water. The more you allow it to flow, the more energy it creates, the better it becomes. And unfortunately, money has been pulled down with a lot of other qualities, associated qualities like greed or power, which is untransformed. So there is no perfect flow of money overall. Only when there is a perfect flow, then it's going to be good. In fact, dynamic energy works like that. The more it flows, the better it is. So the concept of money, if you're able to change, I think it's already there in the world, with the NFTs coming in and blockchain technology, where there is no central person who's governing it, which changes the whole quality of money. It becomes more transparent and it becomes more flowing, more open, more accessible. So once that starts coming in, I think the way we function currently will totally change. The way organizations look at how we invest money, or how do we, make more profit. The concept of profit itself will start changing from what it currently is. The more income we get, the more money we get back is profit is the concept. But that is soon going to change and evolve to a perfect state. If that answers your question, I'm sure, Arti.
So you think companies have to figure out how to monitor the transparent flow of money? That's a new art or a new skill to build. And since you're a CA, you could really help us out with that.
Sure. Even I'm trying to figure it out because it's not very clear, but it's in a nascent stage and it's sure to come out with the kind of jobs that we are having, the outlook of the new generation, the way we see. Because now, if you see, people don't value money as much as they value time. So time is a more precious commodity compared to money. That's how it's become, because money is more accessible. There is a huge shift in the way we are looking at things and how money as a concept. So it's sure going to change. Maybe it might take like 5 to 10 years for a newer concept to come across, but it's already in progress. Any other questions? Okay, I see that someone's asked about personal transformation. Which aspect of personal transformation? Is it the physical transformation that you're at?
Even see, physical is not only physical. When there is physical transformation, there is also a simultaneous mental transformation. I leave the choice to you.
Okay, so that's a very good question. Thanks for that. Because what I went through physically, like you very well mentioned, it's not just the physical transformation, but also a lot of mental cleaning and healing that has happened. Like I mentioned earlier, physical self is only a representation of what we have mentally. So a lot of untransformed things were settled in the body. And as I started doing physical transformation, it called for more so of practices. Like I started writing morning pages, doing gratitude journals on a daily basis, any three things that I'm grateful for. Initially, I had loads of things to write, like I'm thankful for my parents, I'm thankful for my family, my in-laws, my children, my husband, for having a great job, a wonderful work organization. But as days go by, you start seeing that you're grateful for everything, and you're grateful for every breath. The gratitude goes to such a granularity that you start being grateful every moment. So that was a huge shift for me on a mental space. And this was possible only because I started having that physical transformation, wherein I started cleansing my body. The diet itself that I went through was a cleansing diet. And then it started going to different kinds of diets, which involved a lot of greens, portioning your food in such a way where you have raw vegetables, and certain types of food were not allowed. I went totally vegan, wherein being from a Tambram family, for me, curd was a staple food, and I had to do away with curd was a difficulty. And that was a mental block, if I should put it that way, that I did have, and a belief system that I was carrying, that curd is what is going to make me, is what is going to give me certain benefits. It was not true. So this physical transformation in a way was like a rocket launcher for me, wherein it helped me remove all that burden that I was carrying, though it did propel me to a certain extent. And now I'm trying to figure out what more do I have on the mental space and physical space. So that is a short story of my physical and mental transformation.
Thank you for sharing and answering that. Do you recommend any everyday steps, everyday actions that one can take? So because personal transformation is always work in progress. So what would you recommend?
Okay, so I'll tell you my daily routine. So to start with, waking up at 4:45 and then doing the water charging, just being thankful to the water. And because you can bring more energy through your hands through meditation, the vibration of the water changes because water has memory. And then doing certain set of exercises, then writing morning pages, doing gratitude journaling, and then starting my day. Through the day, I've taken up a practice of chanting. So I chant a specific mantra, which keeps me aligned. And I also do a lot of breath work, especially during office meetings or something when you get really upset. I just look away. I look at something green, something with life, or with a flower, thanks to work from home also, because I can connect with flowers. I look at it for like a few seconds and I'm back to my neutral self so that I can go back and handle the situations. The day goes through like that. I have my certain set of foods. Certain days I take only 2 meals a day. Certain days just 1 meal a day. And that's how it happens. And I hit my bed very happy and fully content after having a good family time as well. So this is the routine that I followed.
Deepthi, can I add to that with permission?
Yes, sure.
What I've observed. Okay. There's something little larger apart from what she's sharing also. She said it indirectly, but I just want to highlight, and if you want me to stop, let me know. What I've been observing in her over the years is a certain filling in. Okay, like when I met her, there was a clarity. And in the last, let's say, if I take the last 2.5 years of observing Deepthi, there is certainly something infilling into her. Very tangibly filling with the energy that is needed. You could call it universal energy. You could call it divine energy. That's our own language of interpreting what it is. But there is certainly, I observed two things: the increase of certain capacities, which will come naturally. It's beyond the individual capacity that comes naturally, because I think she feels internally that she's even born to crack a code of internal change. That's how I experience her. I carry the same passion to some extent. Aati here carries the same passion to some extent. But for me, I can only say that I carry to some extent. For her, whatever I've observed is she almost believes, that she's born to crack that code of change. You could call it business change or social change. So she's ever figuring it out. But to me personally, all that she described just right now is the surface. And inside that, what is constantly been infilling and is something which is destined to, be an instrument for. And much of these practices is what prepares her, but it's that grace that is infilling her, which is making her ready, is my understanding. You could share more deeply if you wish, or not also.
Absolutely. Thanks, Arul. Yes, perfectly said. I feel I need to be a perfect instrument for the divine manifestation. And for that, you have to constantly change and keep evolving so that you can reach the pinnacle of where you can, create change in such a great manner where it impacts a lot of lives for the better. So that is perfectly my true aspiration. Of course, I know it may or may not happen within this lifetime, but I know it will surely happen someday. And I will definitely be that instrument for the divine manifestation for greater good, like how Arjuna was in the Mahabharata, something like that. But it's only an aspiration. Sorry.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you, Arul, for adding on and elaborating. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any more questions?
I mean, if nobody's asking, I can ask.
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Vaibhav. Yeah.
How did you come up with this term, compassionate change catalyst, and what does this catalyst mean to you personally?
Okay. Compassion is a quality that I resonate quite a lot. Ruthless compassion is something that I resonate a lot with. Change is something that I'm absolutely comfortable about because I can take on change like, it's my everyday life changes. A catalyst is because I want to be that medium through which the change occurs in a more compassionate manner, which drives in that harmony part of the quality. Which is why these three words perfectly describe the person that I am and what I see as my purpose. Which is why I came up with this tagline for myself, which calls compassionate change catalyst. And even at work, I do this because I make processes redundant, which are no longer required, and transform them to the better version of themselves. The same with people. The teams that I've handled also, I push them to that extent that they will rediscover themselves in a newer version. It's going to be difficult initially for them because they have to come out of their comfort zone. But that is something that I drive with people, with processes, with everything around me. There will be some or the other change that you will see around me, in me, or within the house. There'll be constantly something new happening. And I can do that only if I'm a perfect medium, which is why I came up with this catalyst. I thought it was very resonant. Vaibhav?
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
You actually answered the question that I was about to ask, but there's Namita. Namita, go ahead.
Namita, hi. Deepthi, what a fantastic story of personal transformation, and thank you so much for sharing this. My question is around emotional care, and you having spoken about how you brought it into your parts of being because your dynamic energy was at the highest. So that's my first question as to how do you bring in emotional care into dynamic energy, that combination. And the second is, in your role today, what do you do and how are you incorporating the 8 parts of being?
Okay, I'll answer the second question first because that's easier for me to answer. I'm working with Unilever as a transformation leader, wherein we transform all the processes globally and try to drive the business to a more futuristic model, be it the ways of working, the tools that we're using, everything goes through a change. And I'm someone who drives the whole change for the organization. So that's my professional front. On the emotional care, that's my weakest part, quite honestly, and it still needs a lot of transformation. With dynamic energy being my superpower, initially it used to be quite difficult because I would snap things like this and I would just go ahead very strongly with people. However, now with more power, I've started holding it. The compassion has increased. The silence has increased. So emotional care comes in because I know for a fact that everybody has a perspective. I started to become more non-judgmental, uh, to allow them to blossom, to come up with whatever they want, holding that space for people. So the more power that I feel, the more I feel that yes, this is where people need to come, and it becomes like a recharging station for them. At least that's how I ensure I make it that way, so that though it is not my dominant area as emotional care, but I play through my strength, which is dynamic energy. Through that, I ensure people feel more powerful and their emotional care is taken care of. Honestly, that's an area that I really need to work on, but I play through my strengths. So this is how I approach emotional care.
Thank you,
Namita, I hope
Deepthi.
it answered your question. Yeah.
Thank you,
Uh,
Deepthi.
Hi, Deepthi. My question is somewhat related to last two, but how do you keep compassion and corporate together? I have not been able to gel these two words.
Okay, very interesting part. Compassion and corporate. So currently, what happens in corporate is something. What we are seeing currently is something which is outdated, and the future of corporate is going to have more empathetic leaders. Empathy, compassion, these are qualities which are most essential for us to evolve to the next stage of corporate life, which is what I'm trying to bring in. Not many people understand how this works, but like I mentioned in my previous example, my team, I push them to certain limits. I push them beyond what they can do because when I interact with them, I know what are the core qualities. What are they more resonant with? What are they capable of doing? And everyone chooses to be in a comfort zone. All of us, me inclusive. And unless you push them to a certain extent, or you face them with a situation, they wouldn't come out of that. So how do I put them in that spot for them to come out? And I do this with compassion, and I'm doing this. And not just that, I've been part of certain transformation processes where the process itself would become redundant and people were asked to go. The conversations that I've had with them is filled with compassion, because I know for a fact if they were in this particular organization, they wouldn't grow, and their lives are going to be more miserable. So I ensured, how can I find a better way for them to go to a different job, maybe give them uh, a recommendation or a good link or a lead to a different place where they can go and blossom into the best being that they can be. So all of this, I try to bring in the aspect of compassion so that it lands in their ultimate good. So this is how I've been able to bring compassion into the corporate life, into the fabric of how we do things in the regular way.
Yeah. How is it perceived, Deepthi? Because what you're doing is not something that several people will be comfortable watching you do it. The recipient may be different. What is the perception of that in the current scenario?
Yeah, very, very rightly said. It's not perceived in the right way, but I ensure that I hold that space for them to come back and be, say whatever they want, feel more comfortable with what's going on, and take them through the change because I'm comfortable with the whole process. I ensure that, from the beginning till the end, that they are feeling more comfortable and safe with what's happening. Through that, I've been able to buy the trust of not everyone, to be honest, of most of the people. At least 70% of the people do understand why I'm doing this for them, or why this is happening to their process. So once they get the understanding of the end result, or what's the ultimate, then I think they have more clarity and they have a buy-in into what's happening. But this does not come in from everyone. Only people who go through the whole circle, they're able to appreciate the start point of, okay, this is why all of this happened. They're able to connect the dots. But once they lose focus on the ultimate, they take it personally, then it becomes a very difficult equation. And that has happened, which is something that I'm still working on. I don't really know how to handle this as of now, but I will figure out a way soon.
There also, perhaps we thank you for answering that, but there also we need to be compassionate about their anxiety and fear and insecurities, which is what prevents them from being compassionate.
Which is why it's called ruthless compassion, right? Ruthless compassion comes in where you know that the ultimate good is this for them, because you have a more holistic view of their particular role. And it's not just from your angle. Once you know the whole picture is when you will drive them to do things, which is very much like the mother. She knows that, eating the tablet is very important, or the medicine is very important. And you would do it by hook or crook because you know the ultimate goal is this. Whereas a child may not like that experience. At the end of the day, the child is going to be better. So this is the ruthless compassion that I resonate and I bring about. Not everyone's going to be comfortable. They have their anxieties, but that's precisely why I ensure that I take them through the whole change, make them feel comfortable, and make them really feel that this is happening for their good. Buy in that faith and trust. Only through that process it can happen. So not everyone will be appreciative, but whoever does are very happy, and they are still in touch with me. In fact, 4 to 5 people who I was forced to ask them to move to a different organization are still in touch with me, and they are so happy, and they share news about I'm getting this opportunity, thanks for letting me go or explore this, I wouldn't have done otherwise, is something that they're coming back to, which makes me really happy. Like a mother is really happy about what happens to the child. So that's what I feel. If it doesn't happen, or if they don't understand the ultimate purpose, I just leave it at that.
Thank you. Thank you for answering.
Deepthi, there's a comment from Kamali, who's our next speaker. Kamali, another good friend, is also deeply carrying the aspiration of large scale change. And so she said that, I resonate very much with your compassionate avatar in corporate. Perhaps we can connect offline to talk more and work on an exploration. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Deepthi, you mentioned that while you handle your interactions compassionately, you also have an ability to look at the core qualities of people. So, firstly, how did you develop that, and how do you handle when you are working with in a hierarchy where the ones above you are not able to see your core qualities?
Okay, very interesting question. And my discovery has been that thanks to my huge family, I've been able to interact with a lot of people from all ages. So this, I observe people from childhood. This has been something that I've always done. I observe people, I observe what they do, what they like to do, what they repeatedly do, and the kind of words they use, the kind of actions they do, the kind of food they eat. People use adjectives to describe. So that also brings in certain qualities. It may not be perfect that I'm assessing, but it will be more or less close to what they really resonate with. They may not even, certain people don't even know that they resonate with these qualities, but I start talking to them in the language that they understand. Through these identified qualities in and around, I start talking to them, conversing to them in those qualities. And any work that I assign to them, let's say I want them to run a project, I start talking to them in the way that they feel more related, and they are more interested and keen to do it. I bring only those aspects to them, and I make them drive the project through that, or ensure that they complete the work through that. For instance, also I resonate with, or I connect with people through the parts of the being. Certain people have a physical part of the being which is very good, and pure mind is very good, or data is good. So I start talking in data. For example, my director is very good in his data mind, and I start interacting with him with a lot of data, so that he feels more connected. And once that connection is established, then I pass on my agenda, or the way I'm more comfortable talking to him. So picking these in and around their areas is something that you get it with time, or you make a framework for yourself to see, okay, these are the parts of the being, and these are certain qualities that people will exhibit. And once you start observing them very keenly, you'll start getting it. Also, there should be a genuine interest in each and every person, which is what I've developed over time. I look at every individual like they are the most important person in the world. When I interact with them, I'm completely with that person. So that makes it easier for the connect to happen, because once even a child knows if you're genuinely interested in listening to the child or not. Just try doing this by looking away or looking at the phone. The child will know, and the child will stop talking and go away. So that intent and connect is what you need to establish. You start picking this over a period of time. So that is one. And I think you asked another question. I missed it. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah. So other question is that in an hierarchy, when the people who are above you in the hierarchy do not understand your core qualities, how do you express it?
Yeah, that's a very natural thing because they wouldn't understand the core qualities, which is not expected of them as well. So what I do is I play a reverse role. I start understanding their core qualities and I start adapting to how they understand. Like I just spoke about my director, and I always resonate and I go with what is my core quality. What can I do? Like I hold power quite a lot. I hold silence. So that is something that I bring to the table. When there is a very chaotic discussion happening, I bring a lot of silence so that ideas can flow, or things will actually settle down. So these are certain things that I do for myself because I know it's quite a difficult task for people above to do it. So I do it for myself. So that's the only way you can bring it. Until you bring that awareness and a buy-in, it's not possible for it to happen from top down. Not really.
Thank you, Deepthi.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much, Deepthi. Is a joy always. And two things, just an announcement before I thank Deepthi is we have 3 more sessions, 6, 7, and then a panel. Do join in as much as you can. And some of you have been there from morning. Thank you so much. Uma has also put a link. What we're also trying to do is, we had a call with Deepthi before and we were trying to get in touch with her essence. Now, as participants, you have heard her, you've felt her, you've tasted her, you've soaked into her atmosphere. So whatever you feel are the qualities that you got in touch or you observed, you could just put that on the link, take a couple of minutes. We're trying to put it all together to observe and also to share back. Yeah, and Deepthi, any final words from you? Uma's putting me a private message saying I should ask you, so I'm following my wife very religiously. Any final messages?
No, just one thing is, for me, at least I've seen life as a very joyful experience. And once we start connecting to our core and bringing it, in every aspect of our life, I think this will become a joyful journey and each of us can make a big difference in life. Each individual has a bigger contribution to the whole universe. Because if you are not there, the puzzle is not complete. So you're as important as anything else and you're so unique. So just celebrate life and live it to the fullest is my final message.
Thank you so much, Deepthi. We will contemplate. Thank you. I really hope you figure out some of the codes on, circulation of money, change at the, society, family, and collective level, and we'll all be happy to support. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
See you
so
soon
much.
at 6. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. Yeah.
Bye.